If we do get Brock and Roman for the Universal Championship, and then Cena and Mahal for the WWE Championship, in my opinion, Wrestle Kingdom is looking a lot better than WrestleMania at this point, because it was announced a couple days ago, like I said at the start of the show, it's going to be Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho for the first time ever, and probably only time ever, at the New Japan Pro Wrestling WrestleMania, the Wrestle Kingdom 12 show on January 4th. Now, the news broke a couple days back. I'm not huge into New Japan whatsoever, but I heard the news and I knew I had to watch that show. So, Joe, I want to get your immediate reaction. Are you looking forward to the match and your thoughts on it altogether?
My biggest thing was, and I think that everyone watching the same thing that I'm watching, I've always liked watching Japanese wrestling, although I hate parts of it because I believe that they make a lot of bad mistakes because they don't hold their guys back. I thought they should. They should be holding them back a little bit. And that's apparent by watching Okada and Omega last year, by just going way too far. Okada and Omega has been the best rivalry all year, and they chose to ignore that completely and give us Naito versus Okada. And I love Naito. I think Naito's an amazing performer. He's similar to Randy Orton, for those that want to know if you're going to have to relate him to somebody. So he's very, very good in the ring. Okada is by no means any less important. He's amazing. He's now the longest reigning IWGP Heavyweight Champion in history over there. Very, very important performer there. And the U.S. champion currently is Kenny Omega, who they just crowned U.S. champion earlier this year at the American Tour over here. And now they're putting Chris Jericho against Kenny Omega, which is a weird thing because that stole a guy from WWE for a short time, even though it's not a big name anymore, because Jericho might be still a big name for some people, but he's not. It's not like they stole like a Finn Balor back, or they brought in a John Cena or Randy Orton. They brought over a kind of an older mid-40s guy. It's not as important as it could have been. So it would be more important if they brought a bigger name over there to do that. And people are assuming Chris Jericho is somehow there as a mole for Vince McMahon to be able to find a way to weasel in and convince Kenny Omega to leave when his contract comes up in February. I don't believe that's a fact. I think he's either going to leave or not leave based on whatever happens with New Japan. The whole idea of Kenny Omega staying was after he had an amazing 2016 and early 2017, he would be able to leave and probably have a bigger opportunity. But he chose to stay and win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, but they chose to keep it up on Okada all year long. But they haven't beat Okada twice this year with non-title matches on the line. So they're evened up. And instead of giving him a chance at the world title at Wrestle Kingdom, having him maybe beat Naito to be G1 champion again this year, they instead had Okada lose to Omega in the G1, which why is the world champion involved in the G1 anyway, I don't know. And Naito beats Omega in the finals. I feel that was a dumb move. Omega could go on to be world champion, and that would let him stay on the brand for a little longer, but they chose to blatantly ignore this with Omega. The only thing he wants to do there is win the world title. I think he's leaving anyway. I don't believe he's going to stay another year trying to get the championship when he's been earning it all year long anyway. I believe Naito's going to drop it, or Okada's going to drop it to Naito at Wrestle Kingdom. It's a big card anyway. The card is stacked. Cody Rhodes has a big match happen on the card too. So it's still going to be a pretty big event. It was great last year. The whole deal was pretty good, barring Japanese wrestling, very predictable. So you could watch a match in 2 seconds, you know who the winner's going to be. The final 2 matches are the ones that really matter. Like last year was Tanahashi against Naito for the Intercontinental, and Omega and Okada, which is all the reason to watch the show was those 2 matches. They have a lot of big matches happening though, so it's obviously going to be good. My hope is that Omega and Jericho live up to what people want it to be, because that'll put New Japan back on the map a little bit. But it makes you wonder, a lot of problems with Japan is always going to be that they don't really want to get it with times. They don't want to do English-speaking material. They don't want to connect it to people of English language speaking. So they don't want to care about people over here, but they want to be bigger than WWE. I don't feel that would be bigger than WWE by speaking Japanese. So they're going to have trouble doing that. And that being said, I'm not looking forward to the card from a standpoint of future standpoint. I'm looking forward to the card because it was already going to be good regardless of Omega and Jericho. But that only makes it better because they're on it. So Wrestle Kingdom looks to be pretty good. It's their WrestleMania over there in Japan, so it's clearly going to be a big card anyway. But the biggest thing to talk about after this is really going to be, the post-Wrestle Kingdom. What are the plans for Omega? That's going to be the biggest question mark, I think, that we're going to talk about after and even going up to. Because his contract comes up again in February, and I don't know if he's resigning. And so that's going to be a big, big talk leading up to and after the event, and that whole thing with Jericho is only going to make people talk about it more.